If there are any young people out there watching this, you guys might not know what V-entertainment was, but yeah. It was huge.
Absolutely huge. I used to get into clubs and anything just by saying V-entertainment.
Get that.
You know, you're chilling with someone from another African country. They're telling you about your politics. You have no idea what's happening in their country. And that is what made me feel sad, actually, to be South African.
I get that.
That we're not as educated about our African counterparts. You can't be the shy
in the corner. That's not gonna work.
You gotta fetch your dreams. And then I got the job at YFM, you know? Yeah. I see white people do it, so why can't I do it?
Facts.
Honestly.
Facts.
That was my biggest.
And they were just
and they were like, great, girls, let's do this. Okay. I think a lot of people focus way too much on how many numbers you've got, right? When actually, in essence, you're sitting in a room out of CEOs, they don't care about your numbers.
At all.
They're like, what am I getting?
Yes, what do
what's my return? And if you show them what you are investing in their business and what they can get out of you as a business, then you're good.
Guys, write that down. Right? I hope you guys are ready.
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini. And you know how we do with the special guests. We got another special guest in the building, and we are reporting from 138 Jan Smarts at the Dead store. So please don't forget to pull up, get your dead pieces. But without further ado, I guess we'll let our special guest introduce herself. Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Thobi Rose. Everybody knows me as Thobi Rose though. I am a full-time travel content creator and I'm so excited for this.
I love it. How are you doing today?
I'm good, a bit tired. I mean, it was a bit of a long weekend for me, but I'm here.
Thank you so much for joining us. What do you think about the store? Is it the first time you come to the store?
It is the first time. I love the concept store. It's absolutely amazing. Dope. Great pieces too.
Okay.
So can't wait after this to have a little look.
Yeah, just,
a little browse for my next travels.
Exactly. Okay, let's start your story from the beginning. Yeah. Where are you from? Where are you born? Like, where did you grow up?
So, born in Newcastle, small town
KZN.
In KwaZulu-Natal. Okay. Born there, but we actually lived at Vryheid with my parents who were teachers at the time.
Okay.
Which is about an hour away. So, yeah, stayed there. Grandparents, parents' roots are from Nkandla, Etalaneni.
Okay.
And that's what we call home. That's where we call home. Okay. I actually came to Joburg for primary school. My brother stayed in KZN. And so I guess I'm a Joburg girl with very rural roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all from the rural places, all of us as a black community.
Yeah, except the ones who say I.
We don't want to hear it. Those are not your roots.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Thobi as a young girl. Have you always been extroverted?
I've actually always been extroverted.
Okay.
From the jump. Okay. To a point, my nickname when I was very young was Unompitizelo, which means to pitiza, to be busy.
Okay.
I was always Peter Petering.
I get you.
And so for me, I've always been who I am. I think that's the beauty of evolving, that's the beauty of growing. I've always grown up in a family that actually loved travel, which is crazy. I've been traveling. I remember my first time in Cape Town. I was about 5 years old. It was extremely cold.
Damn.
Extremely cold. I was wearing this huge bomber jacket. We actually little Thobi
walking
traveling.
Around. I feel you.
We went to the aquarium.
Okay.
I remember touching the octopus.
Okay.
And how soft it was. Okay. And so travel for me has always just been a family thing. My parents said when they got married, my dad's biggest wish was to see us traveling as a black family. And
your father is
dope.
Dope. He had vision.
He's always
had the vision.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys were traveling. That's when that seed was planted. But obviously you don't know. You're a kid.
Yeah, I'm a kid. I'm thinking, but it's exciting because, every December or every June holidays, you're packing bags and you're on a road trip. Okay. So for me, travel has always been road trip. It's always been umpago. My mom making us sandwiches, chicken, stopping on the side of the road.
Just to get something.
That excitement.
I get that.
It's always been that. And it's also been those road trips back to Nkandla, to see my grandmother.
I get that.
That for me was travel. It hasn't always been the extravagant flights.
That is travel too.
That is travel.
That is travel.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't consider that to be travel.
Exactly.
Which is the wrong perspective.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you're in school in Joburg, right? Was there a huge culture shift for you from moving from Newcastle to being in Joburg? I mean, you were a kid, but like, you could definitely notice that these places are quite different.
Exactly, because I also lived with my grandmother for a few years.
Okay.
So, you know, I think I spoke a lot more Zulu back then, you know, and then coming down to Joburg for primary school.
Okay.
But it wasn't such a big shift, I think, because at home, education has always been important.
Yeah, your parents are teachers.
My parents are teachers, and my mom's an English teacher. So,
so
she's
language.
always spoken different languages at Kaya. And so that was very important for her.
Okay.
Just to make sure that her kids are not just grounded, but they're also like worldly in a way.
I get that.
And are able to communicate.
Yo,
with
shout out
different
to
people.
all the parents out there who plant these seeds in their kids.
Yeah.
So, okay, eventually you move on to high school.
Yes.
How does your character evolve? How does your perspective on the world change?
So high school is fun. Thobi is still bubbly. She's the girl who plays netball.
Dope.
The typical
Dope.
netball gal.
Dope.
And then I discovered volleyball, which I also actually incredibly loved.
Okay.
Did a lot of sports, but I was very always, you know, in class, the child who makes a noise, that was me. And the teachers knew me.
Do you sit in the back or in the front?
I mean, you know, sometimes I was actually forced to be in the front because of
Yeah, you
my
were
naughtiness.
disrupting
Yeah.
the flow.
So every time there's a report,
I
it's
get that.
Thobi is such an amazing child, but a bit disruptive. You know, she talks quite a bit.
Yeah.
That it got to a point where when we were thinking about what we want to study and all of that after high school, they were like, okay, Thobi, you go to where all the, you know, kids who make a noise go.
Okay.
And that comms.
Communications,
so that's when I,
yes.
found out
Which
about
basically,
that.
when you're talkative, you need to go to communications because that's a skill.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But high school also started being a little bit of an entrepreneur with my sister.
Dope.
We weren't a family that it was, my dad never gave us pocket money.
Okay.
So we had to create our own pocket
Another seed being planted.
Another seed, right?
Your dad's a visionary. I won't lie. He's such a visionary. Yeah.
So in grade 10, me and my sister start selling cupcakes.
Dope.
So we start selling cupcakes
Are you guys
in class.
baking them?
We're baking them at home.
Oh.
We're baking them at home. We're putting the, you know, everything on, the icing.
Yeah.
We're selling them, and they're getting sold before break.
Yeah.
Already before break is done, the box is done.
Okay.
Because there's some kids who come through, they haven't had breakfast, and you know, it's a measly 5 rand, 6 rand for a cupcake.
Are you guys blowing the money?
We're using the money to party. So this is the evolution of
Okay. Yeah,
Thobi.
because that's one of the first lessons you learn as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Don't blow the money.
No,
'cause
Thobi and
you
her
need to
sister,
reinvest
we
it.
weren't really investing.
Of course.
Because there are other things important for us at the time.
course.
Which was actually
Grade
how do we
10.
make more money and
okay.
so that started, and then a friend of ours comes to us and says, oh, we see you guys like working. I turned 16, and now I'm allowed to formally work.
Yeah.
I actually worked at sports team.
Dope. Okay.
We skate more.
Okay.
Probably because of all the cute boys who worked in the mall.
I wouldn't know, but okay.
You know,
I'll take your word for it. I feel you.
So worked at there for
Okay.
about a year and a half. I got very annoyed. I've never liked having a boss. I actually realized from a young age, I don't want to be bossed around.
You don't want to be told what to
Told to
do.
do. But you know what, I did it because that was my pocket money at the time.
Yeah.
It helped with, you know, my parents can't buy me sneakers, I'll buy them myself.
I got it.
You know,
Don't
doing
worry.
my hair, and just
I
having
get you.
responsibility.
Yeah.
And then from that, started doing promotions.
Okay.
Where now you're getting paid 80 rand an hour versus 17 rand point what?
Yep. I feel that. That's a huge difference.
So then I started doing promotions because more money, which was a great opportunity for me because it carried on from high school all the way through varsity, just pivoting, right? So from perfumes, doing, you know, the perfume sampling and all of that at the malls. I was one of those girls.
I run away from them. I'm like, no, I don't have the time.
Yeah, so did that, and then when I went to varsity, went into alcohol because I was legally of age.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, high school, that's who I was. I did start partying a lot in high school. The pop bottles, when they began, I was there.
You were there.
I think I was always that girl who wanted to be within. It actually got to a point where friends and dad were like, you guys think you're better and nah. Because we started hanging out with the cool crowd in Joburg at the time.
And then they felt like...
And I guess so. I wasn't really interested in, I think, other things, boys. I just wanted to be where the vibe was, where the party was at. That's when I started going to Black O at the time, Black Orchid, when McGee
He always
and them.
tells me about that.
Can I tell you, that is when real partying happened. And
I hear that.
yeah,
I hear that.
not what's happening now.
Yeah,
We would dance. Us.
Yeah.
When they would say rock the girls, they were really rocking.
the girls.
Not in that way. I was still too young, but we were dancing. We were having such a great time, mingling, finding out who the cool kids are, and really just cementing ourselves.
the space.
I think in the space. That's where it began.
And you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
Okay, so end of high school, right? You're still working this promotions job. What are you thinking of studying, and what are you thinking your direction in life is going to be? Or are you just taking it, hey man, I'm gonna go study whatever I go study, get a linear job and just keep it moving?
Yeah, I kind of always knew I was supposed to be in media, right?
Okay.
But my parents were not going to allow me to go and study like media and all of that. So I then decided to do strategic comms, communication at UJ.
Dope.
In my head, I'm thinking that's going to take me to PR. I actually end up in second year working at a PR firm.
Okay.
The way I've always liked money.
Okay.
Right? I go in second year to the comms department. I see an advert that's only for third years.
Okay. So really you're like...
So I'm thinking to myself, I know I'm not in third year, but I have experience. I've worked since high school. I get it,
So you're actually above people who don't have experience at all.
At the time.
Okay.
And so I see this ad, and I'm like, let me apply. Bear in mind, the day I apply is the last day to apply. So I apply, I'm great, crazy. I apply, I go chill,
Keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm chilling. I think 2 days later, I get called by this white lady, and she's from this agency. Hey, what's up, Thobi? We see you're second year, we just loved your CV, and wada. Do you want to come and interview? I was like, yeah, I'm coming to interview.
Damn.
Took a taxi, went to interview in the north, and I got the job.
That's crazy.
Like literally, I was not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I was not supposed to even go
you took
interview.
the initiative.
Yeah, so I started working there 3 times a week. 2 times a week. Yeah, 2 times
While
a week.
going to
While
school.
studying. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where my world then also began to open up again in terms of corporate side and me learning the corporate side of what I'm studying, right?
Yes.
The PR, working with clients. I started working with clients like Selini at the time. They were like my client. Working with people in the magazine world, being able to go to meetings. And this time I'm young, And
you're probably
that
the youngest
was
person
in the room.
Yeah.
But for me, that's where that world started to open up. I then started writing for an online magazine called Ice Cream Mag at the time, which was one of the biggest mags. Yeah.
Okay.
So I then started writing for them with Ayanda, who is doing amazing things in the marketing world.
Yeah.
And I meet up with Ayanda, I start doing that. And at the same time, I get called by a friend because I'm going to all these events. I'm meeting the celebs.
You're networking.
I'm networking. I then get called up by a friend, Dave, who now works at a big radio station. And he says, yo, Thobs, I see you writing, for ice cream in the entertainment world, and you're doing dope things. Mo Flavor's looking for an entertainment presenter on YFM at the time. And I'm like, okay, I've never thought about this, but let's do this.
Let's go.
Right?
Let's
and
go.
this is all in the mix of me studying and this and that.
Get
Like,
that.
it was just a lot happening at one time.
It's crazy how that one decision of you going to the comms
Yeah.
department and you applying on the last day,
Yeah.
like, sent you on this whirlwind journey.
Absolutely.
Like, that's,
I think that was the last job I applied for. Ever.
everything else came
Ever.
to you.
I've never applied for a job since varsity.
I love that.
And that was where
love
I had to find my confidence and
Yeah.
find my voice.
Yeah.
And that's where Stratcoms came in hand.
Okay.
That's where working in the PR world came to hand.
to hand.
And that's when I was like, okay, when you're in a room, you got to stand in the room, right?
You have to.
You can't be the shy
In the corner. That's not gonna work.
You got to fetch your dreams. And then I got the job at YFM. And then that's where the real entertainment work came
Okay.
in, and Thobi Rose
Is born.
is born.
Where does the rose come from? Because the Thobi is from your name,
Yes,
Tobeka.
Tobeka,
But
yeah.
where does the rose come from?
So funny story, I cut my hair, I became bald in varsity in third year. I decided I
What
want
was
to...
going on in your life at
Nothing
that time?
really, I just want to change. I
Okay.
think I was bored. I get bored quite often.
Okay.
And so I one day wake up, I go to a barber, I say, cut my hair,
Everything. Let's
cut it all, yeah.
reset button.
And he cuts my hair and afterwards he says to me, oh, Sissy, you look like a rosebud. And then I'm like, that's cute. Then I start a Tumblr called The Life of Rosebud. So there's no Thobi there, it's just The Life of Rosebud. And had that blog for about 2 years. But when I started YFM, they are like, Thobi, your name has to be in the name that you choose.
Okay.
Yes,
Makes
your
sense.
online
Makes
persona
sense,
has to
yes.
have Thobi in it or
I
Tobega or
get
something
that. Just to relate
to
it to the
relate
real
to
you.
who you are. And so I dropped the bud and I said, fine, it's Thobi Rose.
Rose. Okay.
And
you
I
ran
flew with it.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Okay. So you get into YFM.
Yes,
This is another level for you.
yeah.
How are you navigating? Are you speaking to anyone? What were you actually doing at YFM?
I was the entertainment reporter
Okay.
for Drive Time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you've
was
never
hectic.
been on radio. That was
Ever.
never a dream of yours.
Yeah.
But now you're in this new place. Who are you speaking to about just working on the craft and getting better at?
So I was so lucky that the team at the time, it was Mo, it was Kuto Teledi, it was the Crook who was the producer at the time.
Yo, these are OGs.
It was Super
Those
Dave.
are OGs.
Yeah, so it was that amazing team of them four. I leaned a lot on Super Dave and the Crook, you know, as the content producer and as the technical producer, especially on the technical side. You know, whether it was him saying, Thobi, when you're speaking, you need to smile as you speak. So that the viewer, the listener, can hear you.
They can hear that.
Right?
They actually
Small
can.
things like that, you doing your research, being able to write your script, and all those little things really, really helped. You know, I was literally coming out as this young child, didn't know anything
about radio.
I get there, they're like, write a script, you know, tell us the top 3 things happening in Joburg. I was really, really lucky that at the time, as I said, I was working for Ice Cream Mag. I had access to
what's
what's
happening and
happening
the
in the
pulse.
space and the pulse of Joburg, you know? And so I wrote the stories, they loved my stories, and they were like, okay, so now you have to say them. You have to like radio them.
Which is like 2 different things.
I'm like, I just write.
Yeah, I
I'll
just
write this
write.
out, yeah. But yeah, I sat and I waited 2 weeks, and Mo is the one who called me and said, listen here, we want you on the show. You're not perfect. I was like, I know, but you're gonna learn, and we're gonna do this together as a team. Ended up staying at YFM for about 3.5 years. So yeah.
How was that? Did you enjoy radio? Like, is that something that you would go back to?
Yeah. Definitely in a different format. Radio was hectic. Fast-paced. When people think that because your slot is a 10, 15-minute slot, you're only there for 15 minutes, no. You're there before the show starts. Yeah. You're there for meetings after the show. You're there for events after the show. Having to be on the ground, interviewing, doing the voxies and sending that back to studio. Sometimes you're out and they're like, Thobis, we need you to be here. earning as little as I was earning, not having a car, taxis.
Whew, the taxi life. Yo,
Yeah.
shout out to everyone who takes taxis to go and do what they need to do.
Yeah, no, guys, it was not an easy time.
I get that.
You know,
And obviously
Yeah.
people are viewing you like, oh, she's on radio, bro, you're popping. Like,
you are not getting
Yeah,
paid,
oh.
guys. You
And
know,
God
the
knows
money
that.
I was getting was thankfully to Mo, who had to go and fight
for
Thobi to get a stipend. That was a stipend, if I
Yeah,
think about it, you
yeah,
know? It was a stipend. Not easy, but Thobi has always been a bit of a hustler. So
You do
while
what you do.
while I'm doing that, I'm also doing campaigns at the time that I didn't understand it was campaigns because it wasn't the world of content creation.
yes,
Hadn't
and
necessarily
online
began.
influencing.
Yes, we
it
weren't
wasn't
really
a
called
thing.
that. But because my influence was in the entertainment world, brands were reaching out and, hey, Thobis, you spoke about our events. Would you like to come this and do this? I started doing a little bit of emceeing for clothing brands and other little things. And that money was helping, you know, with the other extra money that we
Live
needed
your life.
to live a bit, you know. But it was tough. I mean, your parents are like, "What are you doing? When you studied corporate comms?
What are you doing
You're supposed to
here?"
be in a, you know."
I know black parents.
And for me, and I'm just like, no, but I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know why, but I think I'm supposed to be doing this.
I mean, it came to you. You
Yeah.
didn't go to it.
Absolutely.
So obviously you'd perceive it as, bro, this thing came to me.
Absolutely.
It picked me.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. So 3 years in there, you're obviously building all this network
Yes.
and the skills
Yes.
that come with this new position. So what happens when you leave? Why do you leave YFM?
Okay.
And what's the next phase
Of
your
Thobi?
life? Yeah, of Thobi.
The next phase happens within the 3 years.
Okay.
In about 2 years, I get a DM. I've been DMing this guy who worked at V-entertainment.
Okay. What year is this?
This is 2012.
Okay.
2012, 2013.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm now on Twitter. Twitter is there now. And I'm DMing this guy because now I'm thinking I need to be a presenter. Because I'm meeting all these people and they're like, why are you in radio? You are
should be in front of
bubbly.
the
You need to be in
camera."
front of the camera.
Makes sense.
And I'm like, yes, maybe I should be. So I keep finding this guy. I'm like, who's the producer of Vuzu? Who's this? Who's that? I'm meeting the people.
So already you're reverse engineering,
Yes.
right? You're
Yes.
looking for the person who can plug
me
you
in.
inside. And obviously from working in radio, you understand how it works from behind the scenes. That
scenes.
the producer's actually the person.
Yes, not the other presenter.
Yeah, not the presenter. The
Exactly.
presenter's actually...
They don't know anything.
Guys, if you want to make your way to a certain position, reverse engineer. That
Yeah.
always works.
And so obviously they're not hearing my cry. They're like, oh, we'll see, we'll tell you. But one day I go to my inbox on Twitter and a guy called Mangi, who is the senior content producer for Vuzu at the time, messages me, hey Thobis, we've been listening to you on radio. We love the entertainment. We love the work. We're actually looking for a junior producer for V-entertainment. My heart I'm just like, what? And then he proceeds to say, I know you were thinking of being a presenter, but I promise you, this is for you. Like,
It'll
this is where you
work.
need to be, and you'll make more money. And I'm like, really? What? Okay.
Let's go.
Let's do this, right? I go and interview. I interview the first day with head of production. I know she likes me. I'm great at speaking for myself.
Yes,
I'm here, you know?
And you're bubbly. I feel like your energy just radiates.
Yeah. So I get the job the next day, right? The next day she calls and she says, you've got the job. Now Toby's juggling now. I have to be in the office every day, right?
At YFM.
Yeah. I have to be at the office every day at Vuzu. And I do this for about 6 months until I say YFM ngikrend. Like, you're right.
I'm good.
Yeah, because what I'm getting paid here was already 3 times more at a junior position.
So, I mean, it only makes
Yeah.
sense. Right?
And that's where I start traveling.
Okay.
With my own money.
Oh, with your own money.
My own money.
So now you tap back into that seed
Yes.
that was long planted,
Yes.
and you just start traveling.
I start traveling.
And are you
again.
just traveling South Africa? Are you traveling Africa? Where are you going?
I first say I want to go to Bali. So we travel with a few friends and we go to Bali.
Dope.
This was with my second check actually at V-entertainment. Yeah.
Oh,
and I
that
was
check
like-
was
It was
amazing.
nice. Yeah, because I'd saved up and so
Yeah.
I was like, I think I need to travel, you know?
Yeah.
I see white people do it, so why can't I do it?
Facts. Facts.
Honestly.
Facts.
That was my biggest thing.
And white people will travel with a backpack and
Exactly.
literally travel the whole of Africa.
Yeah.
Literally.
So
Okay.
Bali is number one.
Okay.
And have a great time. But I come back and me and my sister have a convo and we're like, yo man, like we're not seeing black people traveling
Traveling.
Africa.
Yeah.
Like who's
Yeah.
doing this thing actually, you know? Go
And are you
online.
thinking of it from a singular, as in from your POV, or are you thinking of it from a content perspective?
I'm seeing it from all sides, right?
Okay.
Because I'm a content producer at the
Yes.
time. I'm like, I'm not seeing this, you know, I'm not seeing black people representing myself.
Yeah.
From every, way.
Yeah.
Billboards, we are not there. You guys are selling us plane tickets, but I don't see my face. Great. Okay, you want us to travel,
But
we're not seeing ourselves. Online, I'm not seeing myself, you know. I go on Instagram, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm seeing a few people are travel creators, but where are us? Where's this? Where's the
Yeah.
blackness?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
especially in a country like South Africa, where the middle class is us.
yeah, literally.
We are the ones giving them the
Literally.
money
Yeah.
and the business.
Facts.
And so that's when my head starts being like,
There's a gap here.
there's a
Somewhere
gap
here,
here.
there's
There's
a
a
gap
gap here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I stayed at V-entertainment for about 3 years or so.
Okay.
But
How was that experience?
Oh,
Loved it.
wild. Wild.
If there are any young people out there watching this, you guys might not know what V-entertainment was,
Was.
but yo,
Yeah.
it was huge.
Absolutely huge. I used to get into clubs and anything just by saying V-entertainment. I sometimes would just walk somewhere and I'm just like, I feel like a party today. You know, I just feel like a party.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, Thobi, yeah, V-entertainment.
V-entertainment.
Great.
Inside.
Table, drinks. You were treated like royalty, right?
Yeah.
But more than that, the lifestyle was hectic, guys. I was so young. I'm in an environment where I have access to all these, everyone who's influential in South Africa. I have their number. I have their details.
They know you.
You know, people are hitting on Thobi just to
Yeah.
get a spot
Yeah.
on
V-entertainment.
V-entertainment.
Yo,
You know, all
I
the
remember
rappers
that.
are trying their luck.
Yeah, I feel
you know,
that. I feel
I
that.
see you guys.
Yeah, we see you niggas. We won't expose you. It's
I
fine.
don't expose you.
It's fine.
But
It's fine.
they're all trying their luck. There's this
get
new
that.
girl, you know, they're like, who is she? You know, that's where then now Thobi has to be strong now.
Yeah.
Like my roots have to start, standing. I
Yeah.
remember cousins and parents being like, Thobs, this is wild. I'm in magazines. I'm stealing people's husbands. Like, there's a lot
It
happening.
got to that level. That's so crazy.
So wild. And I'm just like, yeah, that took,
How are you
Yeah.
not making bad decisions? Who are you talking to? Like, who's your OG in this space? Who's like, yo, Thobi, don't get too excited.
I think it's the people I started with. It's
Okay,
the Mo's.
okay.
It's,
You still have contact with
I'm still in
them.
contact with
Dope,
them.
dope.
I'm, in this new role, they're still a part of that. There's a lot of people that I'm interviewing who are amazing people that are still talking to me. But the biggest thing are my parents and realizing that
yeah.
I cannot let them down.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm young.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the thing.
I'm gonna date the people I want to date because I want
feel
to say
that.
I dated them.
I feel that. It makes sense.
You know,
Makes
I'm
sense.
gonna have those drunk nights. I'm gonna have these crazy escapades.
Yeah.
But then I have to remember who I am and I have to
Yes.
come back to self.
And a lot of people get lost in that, which is why I was asking about who's advising you?
Guys, there's no one who advises in this industry. I'm
That's
not going
also
to lie.
another thing that I really don't like
Yeah.
about the industry.
Yeah.
People will know that, Thobi's gonna fall into that hole right
Exactly.
there. But let's see.
Let's see how
Let's
it
all
happens.
come sit here and watch her,
Yeah.
which is disgusting.
Absolutely,
behavior.
absolutely. And I think
get
everyone's
that.
got their own agenda, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
of course.
Are you really going to tell Thobi not to do this? Because actually,
I want
if I
the
tell
job.
her I need this, you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
And it's all a tit for tat, like
I
giving
get
each other. It's just all of that, you
I
know.
get that. There's a lot of
it's
fakeness,
it's
which-
very very hard to
Yeah.
to
Navigate.
prosper and navigate.
Yeah.
You need to know who you are. You need to be grounded. My grounding helped me a lot.
I get that.
Just know who Thobi is.
the real
Yeah.
person.
That's
not
all
Miss
it was.
Rose.
Not Rose, but
Yeah,
no, knowing who I am. But also growth. You know, growth happens as you are in these positions.
True,
You're at an event and you're like, do I want to do that? No, not really. You're seeing people really get their careers taken away from them in front of your own eyes.
And you're watching
and
that.
you're watching that.
Yeah.
You know, you're watching people make these decisions. And you're realizing that it's not for me.
shouldn't do that.
And I think that's when I decided that the entertainment world was not necessarily the biggest space for me, because I could have easily pivoted to be someone else, you know, in a different way.
And a lot of people do that.
And they do it. And, you know, when I started seeing also, not necessarily the demise of Vuzu, but yes, a bit of the demise, at the end of Vuzu and V-entertainment, it came to a point where it wasn't a daily show. It became a once, I think it was every Friday.
Yes, every Friday.
Remember?
Yes.
I was still
And
working.
by then I had stopped watching it completely.
Exactly. So Thobi is very smart now. She's like, this thing is going to once a week.
Okay.
I'm so worried now, you know, I'm at the meetings, we're discussing, and I'm also thinking to
Are
myself,
budgets being cut?
budgets not in my, not
Department,
mine,
yes,
not in my department, but they are being cut in other ways. Presenters are not getting paid what they used to because they get a call-out fee, right? So now you're coming once a week versus five times
a
day, a week.
Yeah, a week,
And so you can see that people are, it's getting a bit tense, you know, in the meetings. Secondly, the red tape around entertainment is big, it's heavy. If you are a producer and you are not producing the content that channel wants to see, they're like, I told you, tell us, AKA every day. You know, at the time he was killing it. That's who you want to interview.
They want the people who are going to pull
in.
Okay.
And at the time, Thobi is in her almost late 20s now. She's 25, 6. She's thinking about the future.
Yes.
She's thinking, what else happens after this? Because I can see now we have 2 more years here. I can just foresee it.
I love your foresight.
South Africa is not about that content anymore.
I love your foresight because you could have gone down with the ship. Could have been like, we're the biggest, this will never change. But you had the foresight to be like, I need to step away from this.
And I had to not just step away, then figure out what's the next plan.
What's the next plan? So, you leave Vuzu.
I do.
What happens next for you?
Sure. And leaving Vuzu was so tough, guys. The money was so good.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. That's another thing about like
so
working a 9 to 5, right? That safety net of every end of the month, I know.
You know how much you're getting. It's shocking, right?
Regardless.
And Thobi decides not to go look for another job in entertainment. Thobi's like, I don't think I want to be in entertainment. And I could have easily moved to your BETs, to your what, because I'd become a senior producer at the time. I could have easily gone anywhere, but I thought to myself, no man.
Let me pivot.
Let's pivot, let's change this thing up, but let's also use all this knowledge that I've taken from high school all the way to varsity, all the way to working. Let's use that knowledge for the next phase of what I feel like is the next phase for me. And that for me was becoming a content producer. I had started seeing, as the time I'd left, I'd started interviewing a lot of content producers. Mihlali had actually started. She was the first content producer I actually interviewed at the time, where even client Vuzu were like, interview her, she's the new thing. I'd started seeing the decline of celebrity. I'd started seeing the rise of...
shifted rather. Yes.
And then I'm now interviewing Mihlali. I'm now interviewing a lady called Yoles in the natural hair space. And I'm thinking, okay, this thing's a job. They started early, but I'm not seeing anyone in travel. I'm black. I've been traveling my whole life. Let's do it.
Let's go right there.
And that's what happened.
And that's where it begins for you. So how do you even start creating the content? Because now, do you start traveling and then documenting everything? And then putting it together and then putting it out on your YouTube channel? Is that how you begin? Kinda.
You know, luckily we still had the Facebook, right?
Yes.
When I was traveling, even before I decided to make this a thing, I was documenting. I had already had a bit of a community who were like, oh my gosh, Thobi, you should start sharing a bit more of this. And I think that's what really made me want to do it.
Okay.
I then, luckily with my sister, we say, let's start a YouTube channel. We start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
We have a camera. And we start creating content. So we start saying, whether it's content like things to do in Joburg, we decided that you use what you have at the time.
Yes.
We're in
And
Joburg.
build on top of that.
We're going to show people the cool things to do in Joburg.
Yes.
At the time, Aboneng had just started up. There's amazing rooftop bars that are happening there. Nobody knows, right?
Let's go.
And we are there. We are showing people things to do. We are doing little road trips. We are talking to car brands and we're like, hey, we don't have a lot of followers, but you know, can we use this car for this? And we're like doing it. And I'm thinking in my head, there's a bigger picture to all of this. There's more that I want to do apart from just showcasing South Africa. We then say, let's get into Africa. And that's where we start. We start going to Kenya. We start doing Rwanda.
All of these trips?
We're definitely funding all these trips. But apart from funding them, because Thobi comes from an environment where I'm great at speaking and coming up with concepts and the strategic part of the business,
which is what you went to school for.
I start focusing on that. So I remember we did a trip and we actually got a flight for free with an African flight line. Because I did my research, I sent a proposal, we killed that proposal.
And they were just like...
And they were like, great, girls,
let's go.
Let's do this. I think a lot of people focus way too much on how many numbers you've got, right? When actually, in essence, you're sitting in a room out of CEOs, they don't care about your numbers.
At all.
They're like, what am I getting?
Yes, what do
what's my return? And if you show them what you are investing in their business and what they can get out of you as a business, then you're good.
Guys, write that down. Huh? I hope you guys are writing that
You're
down.
good. You know, you can't focus on the numbers too much.
Yeah.
Numbers are great, but community is bigger. And I think that's what we started really focusing on, especially myself. Community, which I call my tribe. You know, being able to have a tribe who is moving with you from 100 followers to 10,000 followers.
So is that where
it is.
Postcards from the tribe comes from?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really honing into community. I think, you know, in a space where we are now, where the content game is so full of everyone is a content creator.
It is, yeah.
Great, though,
everyone.
ain't nothing bad with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who are saying, I'm a content creator, Great. But how do you stand out in that crowd? Number one. But also, how do we use our influence for the greater good?
Yes.
In whatever field we're in. Whether we're in the hair game, in the travel game, in the clothing game, whatever game you're in, how are you using that community? Because that's the only difference we have. You know, I'm in a game where people started last week and have 100,000 followers today. I don't have 100,000 followers, but I got my shit.
You have the community.
I have community.
Which is more valuable than those numbers.
I have community.
We know that you can buy followers.
Yeah. But also you can grow from, viral videos, which happens all the time.
Controversy.
Exactly.
You're right.
And for me, it was always about the long game, never the short game, never the followers that are just going to be numbers.
I get that.
But also, I have experience.
You've done this. And from behind the scenes, which is so valuable.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you start traveling, now you're creating this content. When is the first time a brand pays for your trip, and where did you go?
Where was it? So I decide, even when I do this travel, that I'm going to do travel and lifestyle, because I believe lifestyle pays for travel, if you get me.
Break that down for me.
When you
travel,
think
I understand what you're saying.
When you travel, and I tell people this all the time, and they're like, what? And I'm like, guys, there's no money in travel. So in travel, you're losing money the second you leave your house.
Yes, literally. Petrol.
Whether it's petrol, whether it's stopping and needing food, you're losing money. There is no money in travel. Do not be fooled. But you got to be smart enough to figure out where the money for travel comes from. And where the money for travel comes from is in the lifestyle brands. So Thobi's traveling, she's going to need a K-way jacket, right? Thobi's traveling, she's going to need petrol. So she's going to maybe talk to one of the
Shell,
BP. Not Shell though, controversy. Yeah, maybe an engineer.
I feel you.
Right? She's going to talk to them. Thobi needs luggage. She's going to have to sell that luggage as she travels. And that's why I think I did so well and I figured it out. Because a lot of people think travel pays and it doesn't. It actually, you will be
lose
broke.
money, yeah.
You're using money. And so for me, I started working with skincare brands in the beginning, who are then funding the travel, and they want to work with Thobi because we know Thobi's going on a trip. She's going to be in a different space, right? I'm not shooting it in my bedroom.
Yes.
I'm shooting it at the sea.
out
I'm
there in
shooting
the
somewhere
world.
else, but I'm selling this product.
Okay.
And that's what actually funded my travel.
You're traveling,
Yes.
the brand.
The brands. The right brands.
The right brands.
Yes. So I always say align the brand with what you're doing. Whether you're focusing on rural travel,
Yeah.
who are you going to talk to? Which brands are you going to talk to? If you're focusing on African travel and, travel for the middle class, who are those brands that you feel like you can bring on board to work for you? So for me, that's how it began. But the first kind of trip that I feel like was paid for by the brand, I've worked with, the likes of Maldives. I went on a full trip.
Hey.
I had less than, I don't know, I think I had like 30,000, 40,000 followers. And I was invited on an all expenses paid trip to the Maldives to go and experience it. Same with a few car brands that have, been at the forefront. The first trip we did as young black girls, it was with Ford. And Ford at the time had worked with a lot of white creators.
Okay.
Actually, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we were the first black girls
To
be on a
go,
trip with them.
I get
And it was to Botswana.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Botswana. Shout out
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, shout out to us.
Yes.
Okay,
And that was amazing. For me, it was all about, I realized early on in the game that I wanted to be in. It was about changing the face of travel.
Yes.
That
yes,
was my goal.
yes. The representation.
Yes. I actually figured out earlier. I said, oh, okay, I'm black. I said, so Thobi, what story do you really want to tell when you're traveling and you're doing this? Do you want to be a person who travels and just shows off that you can travel? No.
The luxury side of it. I get
I
that.
then realized I want people to see themselves through me.
Yes.
But the bigger thing is I want the big corporates to see that black people travel
They travel.
and that we are the face of travel.
What a brilliant
But then you're
angle.
using white faces who aren't necessarily the representation of
Yeah,
South
because we
Africa.
don't relate to them. I don't
Exactly.
relate to Jack
Exactly.
and Jill.
Exactly.
No disrespect to Jack and
And
Jill
Jill.
out there. We love you guys. Okay,
Yeah. So that's where it started. I was like, nah, we got to change this thing.
So now you're a young black
Yeah.
woman in this space. What I really want to know from you is how do travel agencies start viewing you? Because from me as an outsider, I would think that now you're taking a bit of the pie
Yeah.
from them because they were the ones who would curate the visit, but yours is way more in touch. Like now it's like I'm going on the trip with you.
Yes.
And you're black. It's like it's so layered. And I trust you over the big corporation that has offices.
Exactly.
So was there a friction? Did you feel that? Did they make things difficult for you? Did they block certain opportunities for you?
I think they did feel a bit of the heat
They had
because
to.
at the time,
They
that's when we
had
start being like, cool, we're going to also curate trips now. Ta-ta. We're going to put this trip together for you.
Yes,
Because we had also realized that black women had the buying power.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then we said, okay, cool, I'm going to start curating trips. You're coming with us to Kenya. And we are the ones putting it together. We've spoken to the airlines.
Yes.
We've done the homework. And we've been there. And
So you already know.
You already know also what you're going to expect out of the trip. It was hard in the beginning. But even to this day, a lot more people are trusting of the smaller boutique
1000%.
DMCs
1000%.
versus going to the bigger, guys.
I'm not going to a travel
Yeah.
agency. I'd rather watch your content because it's realer. And I can just DM you and
Exactly.
be like,
Hey,
yo,
Thobs.
what do you think about
Yeah.
me going here
Yeah.
with my girl?
And what we're also doing is trying to equip people to plan their own trips. So when we are doing the content and we are saying, hey guys, this is our trip, take our itinerary, right? We'll show you how we travel to, example, Hoedspruit. How to get to Hoedspruit, how much you need, how many days, where to stay.
Yes.
I've now equipped you to plan your next trip yourself. telling you that you
Literally.
don't need
To call the
call the
agency
agency.
and be like,
you are your own agency.
I get that.
And that was also really important. And I think that is what makes people excited about travel.
I get
being able to plan your own trip. We're in an age where I can go on TikTok and I can find out the 5 places to stay in Thailand.
Literally.
5 places to stay in Mars. You know?
Yeah.
So yes, it is quite a tough time for the
The
traditional
agencies
right now.
I thought about that. I was
Tough
like,
times.
yeah, you
Tough
guys,
times.
the ship is sinking.
It is sinking, yeah.
Okay. Damn, this like your story is so crazy, like at every single different level. As a person who's traveled Africa,
Yep.
right? We're living in a time where there's so much tribalism that's going
Yep.
on in the world, and there's so much divide.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you saw that actually overlap in terms of commonality amongst the black people on this continent?
Sure, too many things. I'm
Yeah.
starting with language.
Yeah.
I think we travel, and especially if you travel like how I do, I love meeting locals.
Yeah.
I love being where the locals are at. So when we were in Rwanda, and they were speaking Kenya Rwanda, it sounded so much like Pedi.
I get that.
And I remember being like, damn, like we're so interconnected.
We are.
You know, going to Kenya and speaking Swahili. Swahili, there are words that are exact
They overlap.
overlaps,
They
you know.
literally.
What they call, like, what are they called? It's like braai places or whatever. They call it nyama choma.
So nyama.
Same thing.
I get that.
Inwele, same thing. So there are so many overlapping words that connect us.
So
as
the
people on
language
continent.
already, we can tell that it
Language.
comes from one
Yes,
language that
yeah.
was broken down
Exactly,
into.
especially the Bantu people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
When you think about who we are and where we come from.
Makes sense.
So similar. But number 2 is Ubuntu Betu, who we are as people. How we communicate.
Yeah.
You know, there were times you're sitting with someone that you can't speak the same language.
Yeah.
But being able to say mama, you know, baba, talking,
We're the same.
hands, knowing that we are the same in the way that when you come to someone's home, you're fed,
Yeah.
you're asked,
Yeah.
do you want something to eat?
Everywhere in Africa.
Everywhere in Africa, you have that.
Okay.
That people have Ubuntu. That is real.
I
You
get
know, not now the Ubuntu that we talk about.
Yeah, no, that's the fake one. That's the
That's the
internet
fake one. Yeah, the real
That's the one our
Ubuntu of who we are.
grandparents
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. And that for me was also amazing. But number 3, figuring out that other African countries know South Africa more than we do.
As
More
in
than
they've
we know their
traveled
countries.
South Africa.
But they know our history.
I get that.
You know, you're chilling with someone from another African country. They're telling you about your politics. You have no idea what's happening in their country. And that is what made me feel sad, actually, to be South African.
I get that.
That we're not as educated about our African counterparts. Which is so sad. Like, in our curriculums, are we really being taught about African history?
No, definitely not. And as someone from Botswana, I know that.
Yeah.
Like, I know how, I don't know how else to put it, but South Africans are so ignorant of everything else that's happening,
Yeah.
not just around them, but
Yeah.
like in the continent. It's almost like how Americans are ignorant to the
Everything
rest of
else.
the world and Americas. That's all we need to
Yeah,
know.
no, I learned that quick fast.
Yeah.
You know, you're having a convo and someone is like, oh, you know, Miriam Makeba, they're talking about our legends.
I
And
feel
you're
that.
like, damn, I don't know anything about
I
you.
get that.
But then that's the beauty of travel,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
the beauty of just taking yourself out
Opens.
to open up your eyes,
Yeah.
to learn about other people. And you truly come back ever changed.
I get that.
Wanting to know more about what's happening in Congo.
yeah.
Wanting to know more about what happens, you know, when elections happen in Kenya.
Yeah.
Wanting to know more about our other counterparts.
I get
that. We
that.
are not necessarily taught in South Africa.
yeah.
Because yes, we are ignorant. And I had to get out of here to know
Yeah,
that.
to realize, oh,
Like,
shit,
damn,
I'm
I don't know
ignorant.
anything.
I'm ignorant. Not even ignorant.
And I don't
I'm
want to
ignorant.
even know.
get
I don't
that.
even want to learn.
I get that.
And we really do have it good.
Yeah.
You know, figuring out that we have it good.
And that's why I really wanted you to tap on the commonalities
Yeah.
and not the differences.
Exactly.
Because Africa actually, it's like we're so similar.
So creative too.
Very.
So creative.
Very.
So creative.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
go to another part of Africa anywhere. the creativity that
Yeah,
we have.
yeah.
Our music,
Yeah.
you know, our dresses.
We're so rich
Come
in
on, guys.
culture,
Absolutely.
history,
Absolutely.
creativity. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful to see.
So, I was watching your Sweet Escape series.
Yeah.
Right? How does that happen? How do you reach out to visit South Africa? Like, tell me how you put that together. Because I feel like that was such a great move
Yeah.
and like piece of content for you to like package and just put out there. How does that happen?
Yo, man, that thing was wild.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. From me watching
was
it, I'm
wild.
like, yo, this is a party, though.
Yeah, it was a manifestation actually.
Okay.
I do a lot of like writing on my notes, like on my phone.
Yeah.
I think in 2021, just after the COVID vibes, I wrote down a note saying, I want to host my own TV show, travel show. And I just left it because I knew I was going to do it. And then I tweeted it and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to host my own travel show. And late last year, I get a message, email about Thobi hosting her own travel show. And I'm just like, I literally was like, what? I've been, like,
Yes,
that
this
was
is
my
what-
next step I wanted, you know, to solidify and to really, I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years now, full time. And I was ready. I was like, I think it's time I do this thing. You know, you try, you do your own content.
I
you
mean,
pay
we
people
spoke a little bit about that. We won't mention you, but we see you, bro. We see you.
Yeah,
bro.
guys. Yeah. So then that happened, and I remember the first meeting with the production guys, and they said, we wrote this, we made this for you.
That's crazy.
There's nobody else interviewing for this.
So people are planning this thing
Without me
outside
knowing.
of your
Yeah.
you knowing.
Yeah, they've been watching me.
Your
They've
thoughts
been-
are crazy.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
They've been watching me. They've been wanting to do this thing with me. Apparently, it had been 2 years in the making. I'm just living my life.
Tra-la-la. Crazy.
I have that meeting, and yeah, they're excited. They're like budgeting, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, damn, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it starts off as a 4-part series, and as we shoot, client says, no, we want 2 more episodes.
Let's go.
And Thobi shoots 2 more episodes.
Okay.
We started shooting in the early month of this year, and finished in 2 months. So we were done with basically
Everything.
seeing a part of South Africa. And the biggest thing that we really wanted to do with Sweet Escapes is to show other parts of Africa that it is easy to travel South Africa. And that South Africa is ready, you know, to take in our African counterparts.
I get that.
You know?
Yeah, because every episode
we're talking to different people.
Yes.
I'm interviewing and in creating this content
I
piece
get that.
with other amazing people.
Africans. Yeah.
And we really want people to know that, you know. I think the biggest thing, which is what I was excited about, is intra-African travel.
I get that.
Right?
I get that.
Great, guys. We know Europe is amazing. We know Asia's amazing.
I think we're over.
But we need to travel our
Yes,
continent.
you're right here.
Yeah, we need to. And so that was exciting.
Yeah,
We went to small towns like Valdorf.
The real
Yeah,
hidden
gems. We did the Clarence.
Yeah,
So we did a bit of everything. We showed off a bit of Pretoria too, the party scene.
Yeah.
And I think it was so fun, you know, being able to enjoy this with other counterparts.
I get
We had
that.
guests as like Mdu, as we
Yes,
said.
yes. Yo, shout out to
Yeah,
Dude.
shout
That's
out
my
to
guy.
you. We had
Yeah.
Yvonne from Nigeria.
Yeah.
We had amazing other creators from Kenya. So creating
I
all of
loved
this.
that.
Yeah,
how
it was
you guys
amazing.
got other
Yeah,
Africans to come in and
absolutely.
experience it.
Yeah, so we're praying for a season 2.
Oh no, it's definitely
It's
gonna
gonna
come back.
happen.
It's definitely coming. It's
But yeah,
definitely
guys,
coming.
we want people to see South Africa differently.
I get that.
I think we've seen the same type
Yeah.
of content.
Joburg, Durban, Cape Town.
Yeah.
We know that.
We know that. But let's unearth,
The
let's
gems.
see gems. And maybe in the second installation, we'll make it bougie.
I
Let's
get
show
that.
you the
I
bougie
get-
side of South
because
Africa.
your Africa's it's both.
It's both.
It's both.
You know, and they're ready for
get
all of
that.
it. They're
I
ready
get
for all of it. So yeah, man, that was exciting.
It was
and that
amazing.
started off me thinking, damn, Thobi, I need to start a website. And so I did.
That's where it
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite, or let me ask it like this: what's your favorite hidden gem that people never speak about in South Africa? Because we're tired of like all the places that are on TikTok. But where are the diamonds that are really?
I think it's all in the smaller towns, right? Okay. So there's a beautiful place in Mpumalanga that no one knows about. I don't think people know about it. It's called Kaapsehoop. Kaapsehoop. Okay. It's where wild horses roam. It is as if you are in another movie. Okay. Like literally not in
like
South
a
Africa.
Western movie.
Yeah, I get you drive there and the horses are there and the fog is fogging. It's a small little town. There's amazing little restaurants there, but also it's great for hiking. Okay. So I've done a beautiful hike there all the way up to the top. You know, places like that. I love hiking. But also the Karoo.
The Karoo.
Yo, guys, the Karoo. Okay. Such a gem. Okay. We don't explore it enough. I think it's because people are not sure how to get there. You know, like how do you get there and all of that. But the Karoo for me is absolutely beautiful, guys. The landscape, the change in scenery is what has, you know, changed it for me. I love like areas like that just remind you that like South Africa is rich, not just in minerals and that, but we're rich in also like our scenery and the changing landscapes that happen when you are driving.
That. Dude, when you drive from place to place, that's when you're like,
you're like, where am I?
Goodness, like.
And it's the same with the Western Cape. There's small little towns in the Western Cape that people don't know. And I remember when I would go to these places, and of course, sometimes you're met with very Afrikaans people in the area.
The resistance.
But I always say to people, guys, the resistance is made by you.
Yes. It's
made by our head.
It's in your mind.
It's in your mind. Yes. And I've always said to people, go where you think you shouldn't go. Yes. Actually, go there.
Go.
You see when they say we mustn't go?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's experience it for ourselves.
You're right.
Because this is actually our country.
You're right.
If we're not supposed to experience it, who is?
Exactly.
And when they do come with that resistance, you mize that thing, bro.
Completely. Because what are you going to, my man?
You mize that thing. It's your money. It's our country.
Bro.
Why are we not exploring it? So I go there. I'm like, we shouldn't be in the Karoo.
I love that.
Azzy.
And certain places have that perception, and you going there kind of dispels it.
It dispels it.
We're like, guys, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's in our minds.
I was on a trip, and we went to, there's a very small town in the Cape, and we went to a wine estate there. And we're just sitting, we're the only black girls, it's just me and my sister. We're sitting there, chilling, Zulu, whatever, you know, because sometimes we'll be like, ice cream is Zulu. And this one white Afrikaans old man listens and hears us and he goes, Sunborn. We're like, oh, what?
Damn.
And we start having a whole chat. He tells us he grew up in KZN.
Okay.
He's from the Cape. He speaks Zulu fluently.
I get
we are having a full-on chat. And he's just like, no, I loved your vibe, ladies. You know, you guys aren't uncomfortable. You are enjoying yourselves. And those are the things like where you realize that, guys, we have a lot of racial issues, but also there's times where you'll meet people that will surprise you.
and one thing that I always say is that black people are walking around the world expecting and waiting for racism to
come in.
And sometimes, and the thing is, when you walk around with that perspective, anything any white person says to you, immediately you're like, you're racist.
Yeah, you're ready to fight.
No, maybe that person might be just an asshole, or they might be having a bad day. Not everything is racist.
Not everyone is coming with that, you know, and I think that's what the relaxing and being in yourself allows you to do.
I get that.
Nobody gonna touch you when you are yourself, guys.
I get that.
Seriously. And if that thing does happen, you learn how to navigate that.
Navigate it,
You know, but that shouldn't stop us from exploring. That shouldn't stop us from learning, because travel is learning and unlearning.
And unlearning, yes.
It should
programming
not stop, and unprogramming. It shouldn't stop us from doing that.
I get
you know, it shouldn't stop us from saying, let's go develop our own rural areas. Let's go develop our own towns. Let's go do our own things.
Unearthing our own gems.
Because also what it taught me is that there's a lot of accommodations that are not owned by us. It has really taught me all those things, and then it starts being like, oh damn, man, we have a lot of work to do. Now I'm like, okay, next thing, I need a lodge. I need to build a lodge. How am I building a lodge?
So now you're thinking about the infrastructure that allows travel to happen. I get
and I think that's the beauty. That's where I'm at now. I'm thinking about, cool, content is great, but I'm thinking, how does Thobi get in the travel? How does Thobi sit with the owners of big businesses.
I get that.
How do
From
I
the
s-
hotels
yeah,
to the
yeah.
B&Bs.
How do I sit to them and how do I get an in?
I get
Because
that.
that's the next thing we need to do.
I do
We need to sell
think
our own places now.
you are a game changer in the space.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of corporations are not going to be happy about you being, because us as the fans,
Yeah.
we love game changers, but the big dogs in the game, they don't like people like you.
Yeah,
at
and I'm not
all.
quiet about it.
Yeah, at all, at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about safety when you travel, right? You being a black woman, what are some of those things you do or even research when you're going to a place you've never been, when you're thinking about like safety
Yeah.
for yourself?
I think it is within the research. Figuring out what customs certain people do, how they dress,
Yeah.
all those small things help,
yeah,
right? If you're going to go and travel to a predominantly Muslim country,
You can be out
adhere,
here.
right? So let's adhere to what people are wearing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times, which I've seen, like when I was in Zanzibar, when you are in the small other islands, it's great to do that. But if you're in Stone Town, where there's literally 90% men on the streets,
I get that.
you understand?
You can't be.
You cannot say, I shot them in a oh, okay, you know?
Cultural keys
Cultural
are
things are important.
important, yeah.
And doing your research to make sure you're comfortable first,
Yeah.
before everyone else is important. So whether that means Thobi has to wear that's wrong, or that thing to go to the beach, you have to do that. It's the same when people come into our country.
Literally. You
And
can't just
we've
do
got our
that.
issues too, and you think you're going to walk in Maboneng with your phone out? Okay,
Good luck
you
with
do
that.
it.
Good luck with that.
Good luck to you, you know?
Okay.
So I think being able to do that research, but also talking to locals on the ground is so important. So I am that person who will DM someone, I see they live there. Yo, can you please let me know where's the place, you know, that's safer for a female to stay? Or, you know, just be able to do your own research and be able to take ownership of your own trip, just to make sure you get the most out of it. It's very important.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears,
Yeah.
right? So every guest who comes on Dead Radio, I speak to them about the evolution of their dreams, right? So how your dream basically started with you selling cupcakes, which then led you to sports scene, which then led you to doing promotions, radio, V-entertainment, and then traveling eventually. What's a new dream for Thobi today? I mean, we spoke a little bit about you now looking at the infrastructure of like traveling.
Yeah.
But what's a new dream Thobi has today? I mean, you just checked one off with the show.
I did.
Yeah. So what's
I know
a
I'm going
new
to check all
dream?
of these off, but
Yeah.
you know,
What's a
you
new
got to
dream
give
for
God
Thobi?
time.
Facts.
The new
And
dream
let
for
him
me
do
is
it.
ownership.
Okay.
Ownership. Really owning my own brand.
Okay.
Getting into that.
Okay.
Definitely
I
going to
love
be
that.
selling and doing amazing things.
I
It's
love
coming up
that.
very soon.
Okay.
I'm
Guys,
working on it,
yo, it's
guys.
coming,
I'm
it's
working
coming.
on it.
Yeah.
So it's ownership in that front.
Okay.
And then ownership in the travel space, owning my own properties.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Since you've been in the space, have you seen more black people enter the space?
So many more.
Yeah,
I'm so proud to say, like, I
You're an
promise you,
OG in the space.
I kind of am.
Yeah,
like,
you're an
listen,
OG now.
like,
Now you're
you know,
an
there's
OG.
times where someone, like, last week I was at an event and this lady came to me. She's also quite new and doing amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
And she came to me and she said, oh, Thobi, you're going to be at this event. It's a car brand thing. And I said, oh, girl, if there's no money, I'm not there.
You're like, bro. Yeah, that's not.
I'm sorry, because that's just
You're an
me. I'm
OG,
mad.
bro. You're an OG.
I
dog.
can't do trade
It
exchanges.
is what it is. Yeah.
So, and then she laughed. She was like, yeah, no, definitely, Thobi, you would be the person to say that. I'm like,
get
yeah. You know, we all are allowed to start off doing the things that we weren't necessarily going to do 10 years
Yeah.
down the line.
Yeah.
You have to hustle.
Yeah.
You have to build a name for yourself. It's very important.
And it will
but
switch
it will always
eventually.
switch. But where Thobi's at now is just not where
I'm
Thobi
not doing
was
that, bro.
6 years ago. And I'm
I get
okay
that.
with that. I'm okay
get
with
that.
that. Yeah.
What's your next trip? Where are you going?
I don't know. For the
don't
first
know.
time in my life,
You don't know.
I don't know where I'm going
Ding,
next.
ding, ding.
But I'm actually happy because
Okay.
I think because I've been traveling so much in the last 2-3 months, I actually just come back from a trip in Hoedspruit.
Okay.
For a new Safari Hotel with Radisson down there.
Dope.
So that was amazing, especially because I love that area. I love that Limpopo Mpumalanga
Yeah.
triangle.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it stunning?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
beautiful.
and the people are stunning, and people don't really do that side. I think it has the best lodges, by the way.
get
But yeah, just did that.
Okay.
I've been resting, and I'm now in my strategic zone.
Okay, now you're planning the
I'm
next
planning
6,
the next
12,
6 months.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm actually happy that I don't know where I'm going next.
I get that.
I'm going to, in August though, I'm going to Mozambique.
Okay.
Quite excited about that.
Okay,
So yeah, let's see what August and the way forward has in store for us. But
I get that.
I'm in the strategic zone right now, building my website, making sure I've got content on there that my community is gonna love. And yeah, quite ready to see the website become its own community at the moment.
Okay, I love that. So now, as we wind it down,
Yeah.
right? What's your last piece of advice to a young girl, a young boy out there who wants to pivot? Maybe
Yeah.
they're working in radio, maybe they're selling cupcakes.
Yeah.
Maybe they work at sports scene right now,
Yeah.
but they feel like, I want to pivot and go do something else and then make a name for myself. What's your last piece of advice to that person?
Feet on the ground, ears on the ground. That's always been my thing. I always have my feet on the ground.
Okay.
I don't live in the
clouds.
clouds.
Yeah.
And I think as young people, we need to realize your feet must be very much planted on the ground, planted in your roots. But also, your ear needs to be on the ground. I think what really helped me pivot all the time was figuring out what was happening around me.
Yeah.
So whether, right now people are listening to radio, okay, who are the players, the game changers and the players there?
Inside
How
that
do
game.
I get myself
And
around
reverse
that?
engineer it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really plant your ear, plant your feet on the ground.
I get that.
Always, guys, because nothing's forever.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and even now
The ground is always
the ground
shifting.
is always shifting.
Yeah.
Life is always moving. And even now in the position I'm in, I'm not where I was 6 years ago in the
Yeah.
travel game.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but my ear's on the ground.
Yeah.
I know where the next 5 years are going for Thobi.
going, yeah.
You know?
I love
And I think that's the thing. And it's okay to start from the cupcakes.
Yes.
To the
Literally-
perfumes.
Literally.
Because at the end of the day, when I look back at my journey, everything has a thread that
Yes.
makes sense.
And you gain a nugget from this,
Each
a
thing.
nugget from
Yeah.
this. Now, I'm sure you're still using things that you learned when you sold cupcakes
Yes.
in some way
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
Everything
And so
compounds.
everything
on top.
everything does this,
Yeah.
and it creates that bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Which we don't necessarily always see, because once we see the picture, you have another one in mind. So
Which is the problem with my problem with the internet or social
Yeah.
media. People only see the finished
Yeah.
picture, but they don't see you
They don't
when
see
you
the
are selling the
journey.
cupcakes.
Exactly.
When you're working at sports scene there.
when you are taking taxis, when you are hungry
Exactly.
at YFM because you don't have money for
Exactly.
lunch, you know
And
what I'm
I think
saying?
that's why platforms like this is why we created this
Yeah,
platform,
so
for
important.
people to like pinpoint, okay, actually it's a journey
Yes.
and it's not linear.
Never.
It's not linear.
Never.
Damn, man, this has been an amazing conversation.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Guys, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode of Dead Radio.
And you're live on Dead Radio.